All right, folks, I wanted to talk a little bit today about reposting content, impressions, how this can look on different platforms and stuff like that. So, what I'm going to do is walk through a bit of BrandGhost in terms of the setup that I'm using, in particular for a couple of topic streams and sort of some of the types of content we see there. And then I'm going to go between some LinkedIn analytics and then some analytics from Twitter or X, whatever you'd like to call it, and talk about a couple of things that, at least for my own social, did pretty well recently. And talk about something that's a little bit unique, not just the fact that, sure, they perform great. Like, I don't have content that every time I post it, it's the most amazing thing. It's just not the style of content I try to do. I don't try to be viral and put a lot of effort into making viral content, but that's why topic streams work really well for me and the style of content I create, which, for a little bit of background, is more around software engineering and educational type of content. So, with that said, what I want to start with is I think I'm going to go to LinkedIn first and I'm going to show a couple of the posts. You'll see a trend in some of them, and then we'll look at the same types of things on X as well. So I'm going to jump over to this view. So this is just my BrandGhost calendar. You can see it's jam packed with posts. These are essentially all from topic streams, but I'm going to go over to LinkedIn. And so I had a pretty good couple of weeks on LinkedIn. And what I'm looking at here, is this a better view if I jump back? You can see that I have a couple that have done pretty well for impressions, but this is the chart I wanted to show you. Now, what you're seeing here is not like out of nowhere I'm making a huge change and doing something dramatic. In fact, I have a few posts that have done well in terms of like kind of like going viral on LinkedIn. Um, by the way, don't pay attention to the absolute numbers, not really the point, more about just the kind of the shape of the graph. But you can see like pretty flat for a little while, something that goes, does pretty well. And then you'll notice that even though it's kind of low-ish in comparison from September 24th up to November 5th here, it's still actually higher in these troughs than in the first part of the graph here. So I just want you to kind of think about that, because I'm going to try to touch on this as we go a little bit lower. If we look down below, I have three posts. They all happen to be memes or jokes, right? So programming humor is a little bit dry, whatever, but these happen to do pretty well, and kind of, at least for the style of content I do, kind of went viral, so to speak. And that's what we're seeing with these spikes. But I'm going to expand this a little bit more, because I just wanted to show you some differences in the style of content in terms of the engagement, impressions, and that kind of stuff. So again, top three on my list are all memes. Actually, top four and top five and top five are. So top five on my list of highest performing posts in the last 90 days are all memes. I personally don't post memes every day. I've gone from doing memes like Friday, Saturday, Sunday to now including Wednesdays as well. And I'll show you my topic stream for that. But I've had, my top five are memes. But if we go a little bit lower, I actually have this one here, that is, at least in my opinion, a little bit more like opinionated, right? It's like I post a lot of content where I sort of take a middle ground. That means it's not very polarizing. I'm trying to share educational content, so I like talking about both sides. But in this particular case, I had a post where I'm making it very clear about a particular side that I'm taking. What I'd like you to notice is that, like, this did reasonably well. Like, it was, just under 200 reactions, 60,000 impressions. That's like significantly lower than what we're seeing up top here, right? But this one had almost 400 comments. Now, I'm actually, personally, I'm shocked that with this many comments, the impressions were as low as they are, because if we go back up, that's the most comments. It's almost double the one that has 1.2 million impressions. Okay, I don't think they show reposts on here. I do know this top one had a lot of reposts. That's probably what's driving it. But I do suspect this one here also had a lot of reposts. But the point that I want to show you is, I mean, a little bit around, kind of just like, even this one, if we go down a little lower, right? So another meme, and then this one's not a meme. It has far fewer reactions, but like it's not really that far behind in terms of impressions, which is kind of interesting, right? 8,000 impressions less. It only has 17 comments. In my opinion, this is an extreme outlier, and this one, when we look at those numbers compared to, I don't know, like these ones up at the top. Obviously, these ones are extreme in their own right, but the number of comments, the number of reactions, that kind of stuff, to me kind of makes sense that they have a lot of impressions. But this, almost doubling the number of comments, to me is wild that the impressions would be so low in contrast, especially when we look at one down here. Now, the algorithm over the last little bit can be making adjustments, right? So I think it's funny to say like the algorithm, like it's just one very specific thing that's happening, but clearly there's some things going on. And this is 2 months ago, so perhaps there's been changes in between, very likely. But overall, some themes that we're seeing on here on the surface is that we have some memes that are doing pretty well. It gets people engaging with the posts because they have lots of comments, lots of reactions. And then some things that are a bit more opinionated, right? That kind of get people a little bit charged to want to interact. And we can see, like, clearly this drove up the number of comments. When I go over to Twitter, I don't have it broken out by posts like this, but when I go over to Twitter, I had the same posts go out on Twitter. Okay. And the memes that I post on Twitter, they're kind of so, like they do okay. But this post in particular did extremely well on Twitter because of this factor here where we have lots of people engaging in comments. So at least my personal kind of thing that I want to interject here is, getting people to comment on things is extremely effective with getting reach. And you'll notice, and I really hope that social media platforms address this. You'll notice this is exactly why people are like, oh, you want my secret PDF or my free entry to my course or whatever their little giveaway or value prop or digital asset they're trying to give you. They'll say comment below, right? Comment quick fix below, right? They're doing that because it works really, 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 really well to drive up engagement a little bit artificially, right? Because when you have tons of people commenting, the comment is much more impactful than just the reaction, okay? Because you have people engaging with it. This works on, at least from what I've seen, it works on Instagram. People have been doing this kind of thing on Instagram for a very long time. People are doing it a lot more on LinkedIn now, on Twitter. It's really common. It seems to work really well. I just think that it's kind of like it feels kind of gross to me personally. There's some things with social media that I'm not a huge fan of doing, even though we have data that shows that they work. It's the kind of thing like with engagement pods, right? Engagement pods happen to work quite well on different social media platforms. I just don't want to use that because it feels kind of gross to me. It's not my style. The thing that I'm not telling you so far about these posts is that most of these, if not all of them, I have reposted before. Okay, in particular, this one here, this one that says how often do you actually use recursion in your programs? This is the third time that I've posted this exact same post. Okay, this one up here, where it says I have a feeling my wife would not approve of this logic with at the time of recording 1.2 million impressions. This is the second time I've posted this. This one right below here at 1 million, almost 1.1 million impressions. This is the second time I've posted this. Okay, and actually, this one here, I think I'm going to be sick. I know that I've also posted this at least once before as well. Okay, so all of these, the thing that you cannot tell from looking at these metrics is I have reposted all of them before. The recursion one 3 times now. And the other thing to mention is that every single one of these has been posted through BrandGhost. So when you hear people talk to you on social media, you're trying to get tips from different people for posting and all that, there's always going to be conflicting advice. And you'll hear people saying, if you're using a scheduler or programmatically posting, it's going to tank your reach. Like it will never work. Like it's basically going to kill your account. The reality is, no, that's not true. There's literally APIs that the developers make to allow you to post programmatically. Okay. There are tools out there that will not use those APIs that are sort of blessed by the developers and the product team. And using anything but those APIs is essentially almost always going to be going against terms of service. Okay, so you have to be very careful with the tools you're using, and that's exactly why in BrandGhost we only use the developer APIs that they've published. So we have to play by the rules, because if we didn't play by the rules, there would be so much more we could do, but it would also mean that we're putting everyone's account at jeopardy by breaking those rules. You can't scrape information off of sites. You can't, like a lot of the browser plugins that try to do interactions and stuff with the web page, that's against the terms of service for so many different sites. So we have to play by the rules. But being able to post through those APIs, that does not tank your engagement. It doesn't nuke your impressions. But if you never show up and engage with your audience, that is the thing that will hurt your impressions. Okay, and this is what I wanted to go back to before switching over to Twitter. I just wanted to show you this because I gave you a little bit of a spoiler in the beginning. I said, remember this part here, these troughs, these two troughs are actually higher than this period here. Okay, admittedly, on social media, one of the things that I don't do a lot of is comments and engagement. That is probably, at least in my opinion, the number one thing, aside from like different things on YouTube and shorts and stuff like that, for platforms like LinkedIn and Twitter, this kind of thing, that is the number one thing that would dramatically change my growth trajectory on social media. I know this. I know this because I have data, and the data is on my screen right now. The periods where I had a lot of interaction from posts doing really well and taking off, there is this tail end effect of me engaging in comments after. Okay, and by engaging in comments after, so I'm getting all these notifications, people liking stuff, leaving comments on something. When that's taking off, it makes me open my phone and respond to things. So these periods, and if I made another video in like a couple weeks from now, we would see that even after this really big spike here, similar effect where it's elevated in terms of my impressions because I am engaging on the platform. So when people talk about, automated posts and scheduling things like that, that's not what hurts your reach. It's when you post and literally never go on the platform, because many of these platforms now are giving you visibility by commenting and interacting. You'll notice this if you pay special attention on LinkedIn. If you've kind of like gone through your feed and you're like, okay, I think I'm done here. If you go send a message to someone or comment on someone's thing or like one of their posts, if you refresh your feed, you will probably notice that they start showing up at the top of your feed and you're like, it's kind of weird. I'm seeing more of this person. That's what's happening. Okay. So for me, this is one thing where my, these troughs are now elevated for these periods because I am engaging more. In BrandGhost, we do have features for we call it like an engagement feed. So we have that. We have what's called an inner circle feed. We haven't launched that yet at the time of recording, but both of these give you a one-stop shop on BrandGhost to be able to go interact. I'm just going to show you very quickly. So I press on this feed button here. That'll take us to this feature. I'm not going to do it because you'll see a lot of comments and stuff across different platforms, but that spot in BrandGhost is where you can go to have a central single view of all the places to go to respond. Okay. That way, if you're posting across all these platforms, you don't have to sit there and open up different apps and go respond to things. You're welcome to if you enjoy those native experiences, but we try to bring it all into one spot. Okay. So far, tried to cover things like reposting. I still have to show you my topic stream. We have gone over this sort of myth of like scheduling things or using programmatic APIs as a problem. It's not. You just have to make sure that you, number 3, still show up and comment and engage, okay, which is what we can see on this graph. I'm going to jump over to X now and show you what looks to be a pretty nice graph for this same period of time. There is a slight difference, and the posts that we're going to be talking about are almost the same posts. Okay, so the recursion post that I already talked about, that did extremely well on Twitter because it had a lot of people debating and talking about it. There were, if I were to break down sort of the interactions and engagement on that, I had a lot of people that agreed with my perspective. I had a lot of people that, politely or neutrally disagreed with it, which is totally fine. It's social media. You're like, I want people to have opinions. It was supposed to invite people to have opinions. I had, and then like probably 2 smaller groups, which is like people that This is pretty typical in like software engineering content where people are just like kind of picking it apart. So not really focused on the subject at hand, but trying to like say whatever you're posting isn't even like it's like a invalid sort of scenario to even talk about in the first place. It doesn't make sense. So that happens a lot. And then the last group is sort of the people attacking. And so there was a little bit of that because people get kind of triggered by this stuff. But I don't post a lot of things like this, as you can see based on this impressions graph, right? It's not that I have no impressions. It's just that if you post something that gets a lot of people heated and debating about it, it does really well on Twitter. So the post that did extremely well for me was the recursion one, which had all of those comments on LinkedIn. So things that get people talking do very, very well on Twitter. I had another joke. I don't know if we saw it on here. Sorry, no, that's why. On Twitter, so on Twitter, I post a joke, a software development joke every night at 11 p.m., like through BrandGhost, so it's scheduled to go out. All of these jokes are quite silly, okay? I have posted this joke. This is the second time now. This big spike is from posting that joke. So I had a lot of people that were kind of doing the same thing where they're kind of like debating it or agreeing or disagreeing, whatever. But I had a lot of people that were reacting to that joke. And I can't remember which of the other two posts from here did really well. But it was essentially a joke, a meme, and the recursion post that got people talking. But again, all three of them on Twitter have been posted before. The recursion one has made it to Twitter 3 times. I will absolutely post that again in the future, and it's for this type of effect. Okay, I'm going to go over to BrandGhost now and kind of walk you through very briefly my topic streams, and we'll wrap up this video because I just wanted to show you why I do this and why this works for me at least. So we have BrandGhost memes. We have to go make more memes. But this one is my dev leader one. And this is so my software engineering personal brand where I post my educational content. You'll notice at the top here, it says I have 54 weeks of content. And if I'm posting 4 times a week, that's over 200 different posts that I have here. If I go into manage content, you'll see it's just this really big feed of different memes that I have. They're all super, super simple posts. Right? Every single one of them is just an image and a small caption. And this is my topic stream that I have go out. And like I said, you saw on LinkedIn, right? These are all from this topic stream, automatically post Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It'll pick the latest one that hasn't been posted yet. So today, which one? This one here posted today. Do all of them always do well? Absolutely not. That's okay. Right? I have a schedule, I have a cadence, I stick to my plan, and I just add content. I don't think about when and how it's going to post. So I have this sort of repository of content, this topic stream, and I add to it. So this is one. What was the one that we had on here? So this one said my wife would not approve of this logic. So if I just search wife in here, right, this is that post. When did I create it? I don't know if you could see the date. September 17th, 2024. It's over a year ago, right? So I'm not making this up. This has gone out before. Okay, the other topic stream we're going to look at briefly, if I go back here, the jokes one, programming humor, right? So all these jokes are really bad, right? So this is the one that did really well on Twitter. Okay, so before LLMs, so large language models, coding took this long, whatever. It's just a joke saying that LLMs are making more work for us. And this one, like I said, blew up on Twitter. But when did I add it? Right? This is just under a year ago. So this has gone out at least once before. So all of that to say that you can use topic streams to create a set of content that you can keep adding to. They will keep posting, And in my opinion, and the data that I have and how I run my own socials, create the content, add it to your topic stream, and let BrandGhost post that for you, because it makes your life so much easier. You can focus on all the other things that matter. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.